Okay, so we will get started on the Mini 50 build. For this build we have our pre-production carbon chassis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this kit so the people that have bought the carbon chassis can also see it all with all of its carbon bits on. So first of all, we are going to take the bag with the front beam and assemble that first of all. So it all comes pre-assembled. You'll have to put the track rod links on. I've just put these on just for speed. It's pretty self-explanatory. 2 side links, get them so that your steering beam is perfectly straight all the way across, so your wheels are not toe in, not toe out, and then just adjust those links so they're perfectly straight. Take the 2 long socket countersunk, but there'll be socket button screws in your kit, and pop them through the front 2 outer holes. Don't worry about the centre hole just yet. So put that on a flat surface, pop your beam over the top of the 2 screws, and 2 little M3s. They're black in this kit, but they'll be silver in the standard car. Pop those, don't do them up tight, just pop them in place so that it just goes down to the nylock. Then take your front bumper, which is this. It's got 3 little slots and 2 holes. Just ignore the 2 holes. These were put in by mistake because we asked them to do front and rear bumper packs, and they thought they needed the holes in the front as well, but we just need the 3 slotted version. Now that slots in underneath the beam like so, and just press that into place. You should see it just poking out the back of the beam, and then turn it over and tighten up those 2 screws. Don't have to be mega tight, but just do them so they nip the beam down on top of the bumper. Okay, then take the long screw. In the standard kit this will be silver. In the carbon kit you get a screw pack that literally goes into that middle hole, and that goes through the chassis and through the beam and holds the post that supports your servo support. So that goes all the way through the beam and is secured in place with that screw. Unfortunately we can't countersunk that. We've tried getting hold of a countersunk M2 screw, but not available at the moment. So that's your front end pack on. We'll now put the rear pod parts together. This comes in another little bag. So you have the 2 pod sides, your top pod support, 2 bearings and some screws. Now the recessed parts of these go to the inside, so they fit on the car like so. So the recessed for the thing goes to the inside. But before we put it to the chassis, what we'll do is we'll pop on the top brace. That is held on with 4 button head screws. So we'll pop those into place, and 2 either side. Same again, these are screwed into plastic, so try not to over tighten them. They're only an M3 thread, they only need to be just nipped in place. So that's one side, and we'll do the other side. Like so. So it's 4 screws in the top, just nipped into place. So you've got your U bracket on the top. Take the 2 bearings, they fit in the side, like so. So we'll take the bearings out for now when we put the axle in place. They go onto the chassis with the 4 holes to the back, not the back 2, that's those 2, and the centre 2 are for your bumper and your body support at the back. So in the kit you'll get button screws. In the carbon upgrade you will get the countersunk screws. So let's put those into place. So there's 4 of those. And your rear pod is now assembled to the chassis. Same again, don't over tighten these screws because they're only going into plastic. So you've now got the rear pod on the back of the car. So you can now take the rear bumper and the body post and body mount bag. The bumper fits on the outer 2 screws on that with 2 M3s. So we'll pop the M3s through the chassis. And same again, 2 little nylocks onto the top. These will be silver in the standard kit. All the bumpers are all silver with the red plastic fronts. So pop those into place. Your body support is like a little exhaust pipe sticking out the back. There's 2 M3 screws through the plate onto your 2 posts, and then you've got another little M3 which goes through into this post. We take the longer 2 screws, they go through the chassis like so, and then your bumper support clamps down and locates onto the chassis like so. I don't know if you can see that. I'll take my hand away in a second. Let me just locate these 2 screws. So it fits like so. The slots are just purely so we can pop the screws through and then securely fix them to the chassis, and then tighten up the outer 2 screws. And your rear bumper is now fixed. Body post, bumper support, and your pod sides. You can now take your axle, which is in a pack separately with your pod, and your wheels and tyres. For ease, I've literally popped the wheels and tyres onto the axle. Put your bearings through. They're flanged bearings, so they'll sit on like a flange, which is, I'll just show you that, got like a little lip. Pop them through, and take your axle all the way through to the other side. Hit your other wheel, and you want a little bit of side float on the axle, so it just moves left to right about 1 millimetre. And then you've got 2 grub screws, one in each side. These are not powerful cars, so all you need to do is tighten up that grub screw just so it nips onto the axle. That's sufficient. Make sure it all runs free, and that is your rear end of the car secured with tyres. We can then undo the 2 screws which are on the front and fit your front wheels. The flat face goes to the inside, so the flat face goes on first, and same again, don't over tighten them. The wheel must run freely, and we'll do the same on the other side. And you've now got a rolling chassis. We've got 2 body posts. Body posts go in these 2 holes, and the centre hole is for your aerial mount should you choose to use an aerial mount. Some of you vintage guys might want to put a old radio in to just keep it authentic. It's entirely up to you guys. So there's your posts. Comes with body clips. They go in for when you mount the shell, and we'll now fit the servo. Some of you have opted to have your servo saver in the kit. It comes with servo posts and all the linkages, so it literally fits together. You just move that over there like so, and that's how it fits in the car. So 2 servo posts, pop your ball joint onto the ball stud. Just take these screws out to mount it to the chassis, just for ease. So that goes onto the chassis. With the carbon car, you have slotted adjustment, so depending on what size servo you use, it's got plenty of adjustments. So you could use a micro servo, or you could use one of the standard shorty servos, or a standard Futaba 3003, which runs about £8, £9. So a nice cheapy servo, and that's it in place. Your post, which I said you can use or not use, fits in the centre here, so if you want to use that, you can put that into place. It's just 1 post, 2 screws, goes through the centre, and the post is attached like so. And this can be used to wrap your aerial around if you're using a vintage style radio. That's how it fits onto there. And last but not least, we have our battery support and our little stepped tray, which goes to, you can put your receiver up here and your speed controller up here, and the battery fits nice and neatly underneath. It all comes with alloy posts. We've also included in the kits, we have the small alloy standoffs. We were going to put plastic ones in, but these match the longer ones at the top, so we thought let's stick them in. So take 4 of those with the 4 short screws through here. 1, 2, turn it over, 3, 'This one's not playing ball. There you go. 3, and finally one more goes at the back. So that's your 4 posts fitted. On the back 2 posts closest to your pod, you put 2 M3 grub screws. Now they go through and bottom out, so just screw them in until you can't go any further and nip them in place. I'll explain why in a second. So they go all the way through and nip on the bottom of the screw that's already in there. And then you take one of your sides, they've got little notches, so the notch goes to, I believe, from memory, that goes to the front, like so. So that notch there goes to the front of the car. You can then put your little button screw into the front, like so. Same on the other side, goes over that little grub screw that we put in. Pop the button head in place, and then take your longer posts and screw them down over the inserts. Do that on both sides. And take your battery support band that goes over the top and locates on the 2 lugs. And now take your radio and speed controller plate. It's got a little nick that comes to the back. Pop that over the top and locate with 2 M3 screws. So you should have a support plate which you can put your receiver and your speed controller and the standoffs. So finally we have the motor to install. So pop the motor into the gap, take the 2 screws that come with it, they go through the side and locate on the little threaded parts in the motor. Pop 2 screws in, one at the top, one at the bottom. Adjust your pinion so it's meshed with the big gear, and away you go. That is your Mini 50. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe and like our YouTube page. It does help and gives us some feedback. Thank you very much, and we'll be back with another video shortly. Thank you.